everybody. Rocking and rolling here today at Late Night Baltimore. Here in Baltimore City, yes. The hot Baltimore, where today's time the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers, this will be the third time they're playing, and that's very difficult to play a team three times in the season, a team, and expect to do a memory tribute. Just thought this is a day of mourning for the passing of President Jimmy Carter. So we want to wish the best for the Carter family, and salute Jimmy Carter is a great man, a humanitarian. All right, now let's get to football. Yes, that's right, the big game. The game we've all been waiting for. Now let's see what happens. This is at 8 p.m. And if you're watching this from around the world, you probably will have to watch it on Amazon Prime Video. But in the Baltimore area, it'll probably be shown here on one of the local stations. Let's look at the game. The Ravens have won 4 straight after their bye week. They're 12-5. Had some unprecedented, as they say, achievements this season. Individual achievements. 1,921 Henry running back with 16 touchdowns, threw 45 touchdowns, and I believe just 4 interceptions. Okay, the Ravens are sort of not peaking. The Ravens, you see, have won 4 straight. Let's hope it's not peaking though, because we want them to win another 4 straight. Then they'd be Super Bowl champions. All right. The Steelers have ended the season with 4 straight losses. Didn't get 20 points in any of the games against the Eagles, the Ravens, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. But they had a big, successful beginning of their season, and so they got into the playoffs. All right, let's see what's going to happen. The money line has the Ravens at 500. You have to bet $500 to win $100. And Pittsburgh is at 380. You have to bet $380 to win $100. Now the point spread is a little high. The point spread is 9.5, with the over under 43.5. These were set, but some bad news for the Ravens, of course. It wouldn't be the Ravens if something bad didn't come about in the playoffs. And already we hear that Zay Flowers will be out for this game. Zay Flowers was the leading receiver for the Ravens this year. You see, nothing goes easy for the Ravens. They won the Super Bowl in 2000 season by having the greatest defense of all time. That's what they had to have to win the Super Bowl. The next time they won the Super Bowl, they needed a miracle play against Denver in the playoffs to get to the championship game. And then they had a record-breaking quarterback performance in playoffs by Joe Flacco. So what I'm saying is they have to be incredible on top of incredible to get to the Super Bowl. Because bad things happen. Remember the Cundiff field goal miss. All right, so Don't know how long Zay Flowers will be out. Hopefully, it's not long. What the Ravens have to do is avoid letting the Steelers keep the game slow at the beginning, because that might start getting the Ravens jittery about the outcome and maybe panic and lose their composure. Sometimes this happens to the Ravens in the playoffs. It's happened every year in the playoffs. To be fair. All right, let's look under some team stats got available here. Pittsburgh is 11-6 against the spread. Baltimore is 10-6-1 against the spread. And an NFL best 13-4 to get to the over. The Ravens are 10-5-1 as favorites in the spread, and 4-3-1 as home favorites. Steelers are 6-3 against the spread and as underdog, but 0-3 in the past three. All right. Lamar Jackson has 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 482 total yards versus Pittsburgh this season. Just to go on that, when we're talking about Lamar, absolutely ridiculous to even consider that there's any question about who is the MVP of the year, since Lamar had led the league in pass yards per attempt and in rushing average, getting the minimum number of carries for a season. So his year was one of the great seasons of all time, and he cannot be denied an MVP, especially down the stretch. His nearest competitor, Josh Allen. Josh Allen had no down the stretch. Finished the season 2 games against the Patriots, I think, and 1 game against the Jets, or the other way around. I guess 2 against the Patriots and 1 against the Jets. Then Derrick Henry wasn't that great in the first meeting. He had 65 yards, but in the second he had 162 yards. And I think the Steelers are just going to go all in on trying to stop the rush with Zay Flowers out, and see if there's cold weather, if that will help them slow down the Ravens' passing attack. And with Zay Flowers out, it's a little slowed down to begin with. That's what I think Pittsburgh will do. Just stack up the box and tempt the Ravens to throw. And Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the Steelers, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against Baltimore, 412 passing yards. And he had a 16-5 touchdown interception ratio in this season. Now, I believe George Pickens was not in the second game the Steelers and Ravens played, and he had 89 yards and a touchdown with 8 receptions and 12 targets the only time they played in the first game. So that's important. Now, G. Harris recorded his 4th straight season for the Steelers of rushing for 1,000 or more yards. He totaled 105 yards in 2 games on 27 carries versus the Ravens. What are the key matchups, you say? Well, let's look at it. The quarterback matchup. The Steelers have Russell Wilson, who had 16 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 5 interceptions over 11 games. The Steelers started 6-1 with Wilson, but finished 0-4, where they did not score more than 17 points in any game. Now, Lamar Jackson, he had 45 touchdowns, over 5,087 yards total. Passing, over 900 yards rushing. No, over 4,000. It must have been 4,000 and change passing, and then you add the 900 and so yards rushing. and he threw 4 touchdowns against the Steelers in the 2 meetings. Now we go to the bad for the teams. The Ravens injuries update Steelers. Mason McCormick, offensive line for the Steelers, is expected to play. He was hurt earlier, supposed to be hurt. And Cam Hayward is sick, but is expected to play. And cornerback Dante Jackson is questionable. Zay Flowers will not play. Justice Hill is questionable. And very important, Patrick McCarry is dealing with an illness, but he's expected to play. All right. The Ravens are going to play a tough game, I think. They're going to come all out. They've seen the Steelers before. They know that the expectations and the standard this year is Super Bowl or bust kind of a season. They're never going to have this group again that they have now this year. You really have to win the Super Bowl this year. They're going to do it. So they have the best player in the league this year, Jackson, and they have one of the great running backs of all time. He's been compared to the great running backs of all time, and that is Derrick Henry. King Henry, as we like to call him. The Steelers go with Russell Wilson, and you can never count Russell Wilson out. And they have on defense TJ. Wait, is it TJ? Yeah, TJ Watt. The first or second best defensive player in the league. All right, so if you're betting, bet for the Ravens. Root for the Ravens. And we know that the Ravens will win this game. And it'll be one of the great games in playoff history. It's here in Baltimore, 8 o'clock at night. It'll be cold, cold, cold. This is the only home game Baltimore will have in the playoffs. So we think they're going to leave everything out in the field, as they say. All right. Updates coming. Continue to support your Baltimore Ravens and Coach John Harbaugh. All right. That's all, folks. We will talk to you later. Have a good evening. Play us out.